Hello, fifth grade parents. I wanted to take some time to go over some of the math that your scholars are doing right now. I will be honest with you, this is tough. So I wanted to send it out just to show you what they're doing. And if you get the opportunity to help them, this would support you as well, knowing how to go about it. So we are looking at finding common denominators with fractions and subtracting fractions and looking for common denominators and different ways to solve the problem. So I'm going to show you two different ways how to do this first problem. As you can see on the left here, we have 4 wholes and 2/5. So I'm going to do it with numbers first. I would write that as 4 and 2/5. And I'm going to take away from that 2 and 5/10. Okay, so as we know, we cannot take away 5 from 2. So therefore, we have to find a common denominator. So we know our numerator is up top, our denominator is at the bottom. So if we look at these two numbers, the 5 and the 10, we are trying to find a common multiple for those two numbers. So we have 5 and we have 10. We know that 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10. So that is going to be our common denominator. So we teach our scholars to bring down their problem. So this will be written again as 2 and 5/10 because we're not doing anything to that. And then we're going to bring down, since we multiplied this by 2 to get 10, we also have to do that to the numerator. So when you bring this new problem down, it will be written as 4 and 4/10. Okay, well, we still have a problem. We cannot take away this 5/10 from this 4/10. So we have to borrow. The best way to explain this is that a whole number, which is here, is made up of parts. It could be 3/3, 4/4, 5/5, 6/6. And in this case, since the denominator is 10, we are going to borrow and turn this 4 into a 3. And since that 4 was made up of 10/10, we're going to add 10 to our numerator. And now we're ready to set up our final problem. We would rewrite this as 3 and 14/10. Take away 2 and 5/10. Now we can finally do that. Our answer would be 1 and 9/10. So that is one way to solve this problem, is with numbers. So the other way that you can do this, some students prefer the visual solving. Some students, it is very, very confusing. So it just depends kind of on their learning preference. Same thing, we have 4 holes here, and we have 2 holes. So we know that, in a minute we can take those away. So that's where we usually start. So I teach our scholars to say, well, we can take these 2 holes away from 4. So I teach them to slash these out just to show that we've used it and then exit out on this side. So now what we have left is 2 and 5/10. 2 and 2/5 take away 5/10. So again, we cannot take this away from here. But what we can do is we can make it equivalent by drawing a line here, and then you can see that it's the same. And then you can go here and see that you have 5 right here, but you only have 4 here. But you can take away at least 4 of those, like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and get rid of them here. 1, 2, 3, 4. But we still have that 1/10 left. So how do we take that away? So to do that, you have to look at that hole up here, and you turn this hole into tenths. So there we have 10 tenths. We have 1 left right here. We're going to take it away from here. And you are left with 1 whole and 9 tenths, which was the same answer as when we solved it with numbers in the number style. You could also turn this into tenths first and take away 5 there, but this method I think is a little bit easier. Okay, let's go on to, I'm going to go on and do another problem. They will see, let me stop annotating. The students will see problems too, just where it's just words and they're setting up the problems and borrowing the exact same way. But these visual ones really seem to be kind of tricky. So we wanted to cover those more. Okay. Let me move this up just a little bit more. Okay. We will start by setting this up again with numbers. So what is the problem? We have 2 wholes. So 2 and 2/4. We are going to take away, I need to write this a little bit smaller. 2 and 2/4. Take away 1 and 6/8. Okay. So again, we got to go here, find our common denominator. We know that multiples of 4 are 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. So 8 is going to be our common denominator. So our next step is, we know that if we had to multiply 4 by 2 to get 8. So I put times 2 here. I have to do that to my denominator and to my numerator. And then I bring down my new problem. We didn't do anything to this guy, so he comes down exactly the same. This one here will now be written as 2 and 4/8. So now we have that problem set up, but then when we look again, we cannot take away 6/8 from 4/8. So this is when we have to borrow again. So since this whole right here, this 2 is made of 8, 8/8 makes that whole, we're going to borrow. We're going to turn this into a 1. And we're going to add 8 to here. So the way that we will write this new problem is 1 and 12/8, and we will take away 1 and 6/8. So since we have a whole, take away a whole, these go away. 1 minus 1 is 0, and then our answer would be 6/8, which can be reduced to 3/4. So that is how you do that one with the number format. Okay, one last thing. We will do this in the drawing form. Immediately we can see that we have two holes up here and 1 below. So we can immediately take away a hole. Goodbye. I always slash it out, and then up here I exit out, just to help us remember this is what we're looking at. We're taking this away from this. Then I have fourths here, and I have eighths here. I cannot take away all of these eighths from these 6/8 from these 2/4. But I do notice that this lines up here and is equivalent, right? So what I can do is turn these fourths into eighths. This is probably going to be kind of messy. 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. So now I can take at least these 1, 2, 3, 4 away from here. So now I can X this out. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Now all that I have left are these, whoops, these 2/8. I can't take these 2/8 away from anything up here. So that tells me now I've got to turn this whole into 8. So there's half, there's fourths, and there's eighths. So if I wanted to label all of these 1/8, I could, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to do that. I have 2/8 left down there. So goodbye, goodbye. And these are the 2 I'm getting rid of. And that leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't have any, whoops, I don't have any holes left. So my answer is 6/8, but then I know that I can reduce this to 3/4. There's my answer. Okay, I hope that this helps you. Reach out if you have any questions, and have a great evening.